here. Yeah. Let's see, I'm still in the Gospel of Matthew here, reading slowly through it. I'm going to read slowly through it because it's actually a lot in here, and it's so easy just to read, you know. I mean, it's good to read, but it's also good to slow down and really digest the truths found in this Gospel here. This was the first Gospel I ever read. In fact, this was the first part of the Bible I ever read when I was first born again, back in June 13th, 1983, after Mark Cross bringing the Gospel to me, sharing the Gospel with me, and I was born again. So, chapter 13 here, go down and get some milk. I'm going to get into some parables here. Chapter 13 says, the same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat. And the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, says, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up, and choked them. But other fell into good ground, and brought forth fruit, some an 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand, it says, and in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By seeing ye shall see, and shall not understand. In seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have they closed, lest at any time they should see with their ears, see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. So here we go. Jesus says the prophecy of Isaiah fulfilled here. So let's see if we can find chapter this 6 of Isaiah, starting at verse 9. Actually, it is. And he said, this is Isaiah speaking, and he said, Go and tell this people. So there's God talking to the prophet Isaiah, and says this, and he said, Go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert, and be healed. So we're going to go back here to Matthew's Gospel here. I want to slow down here, as I sometimes read too fast, I think. And let's get back here, chapter 13 here. The prophet, the Gospel writer here. So let's see, let's go back up here. Okay, so the question was here, let's get back up here. The question was here in verse 10, and the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? And he, meaning Jesus, he answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given, meaning to the other people. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. So here Jesus is actually speaking to great multitudes here. In verse 2 it says, And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. So here Jesus is speaking to great multitudes here, along with his disciples here. So here Jesus continues with his answer here. It says in verse 13, so I'm going to slow down here, kind of more examine this passage of scripture. It says, Therefore speak I to them in parables. So this is Jesus speaking. It says, Because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Esaias, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed. It says, Lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But verse 16 says, But blessed are your eyes. So now he's speaking to his disciples here. But blessed are your eyes, for they shall see, and your ears, for they shall hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. So Jesus is going to explain the parable of the sower here. That's what started off this chapter 13 here. So it says, When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches says choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. So here's it. Okay, verse 22. Let me read this again here. It says, He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word, and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth, some an hundredfold, some 60, some 30. And here we go. In verse 24, Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou sow good seed in thy field? Didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, says, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable spake he unto them. The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things spake Jesus unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not unto them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, It says, I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. I think that's in Psalm 8 there. I think so. Yes. Psalm 8. There it is. I found it. It's a mascule of Asaph here. Psalm 78. It says, I start verses. Okay. So let me start this. It says, Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, it says, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us, and it goes on here. So Psalm 78 here, I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old here, dark sayings of old. So that's in Matthew 13 here, the parables of the kingdom I'm in right now, which I love these little parables here. That's why I'm going slow here, even if to really. Okay, so here we go. Okay, let's go back here. Verse 34 here, or in Matthew 13, it says, All these things spake Jesus unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not unto them. Says that it might be fulfilled which is spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things which have been kept secret since the foundation of the world. So that is Psalm 78, 2, I believe. Let me look one more time. 78, 2 here. Yes, it is. I will open my mouth in a parable, says, I will utter dark sayings of old. So that's Psalm 78, verse 2, Jesus is quoting from. Notice how Jesus always quotes from the scripture. So, okay, so let's continue here. Verse 36, when Jesus sent the multitude away, it says, and went into the house. So Jesus apparently had a house. I mean, some people make it sound like Jesus he lived outside or something. He was living under the stars, sleeping under the stars there. But apparently for a while, at least for a while, in the beginning of his, I guess we would call it the Galilean ministry when he first started out. So apparently he had a house, because it does make a reference to a house here. Verse 36, when Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house. So it don't sound like Jesus was living outside somewhere, And his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. So it says, He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. So, let's stop there real quick. So a lot of these false religions out there, like even the popes, like this last pope that just recently died, Francis, he taught that all men are just children of God. Every single person is a child of God. But not according to Jesus there, because listen to verse 38 here. It says, the field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. So not everyone's a child of God. You're not a child of God till you're born again, till you believe on the Lord Jesus Christ. So not everyone's a child of God. So that's a lie. That's actually a false teaching that's in many churches. It's in churches that reject the authority of the Word of God, and they teach that all men are children of God. Not true, folks. That's just not biblical at all. That's a false teaching. Because Jesus says in verse 38 here, Matthew 13 says, the field is the world, says the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. So, not everyone's a child of God. In fact, I should probably mark this out. Children of the wicked one. Let me get my little highlighter here. Thank you, Shirley, if you're watching, ever still watch my videos. She's mad at me because I guess she's offended easy. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. The field is the world, it says. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. Wicked one meaning the devil, Satan, Not everyone is a child of God. You don't have to be a child of the devil, just being a Jew. Like some people teach the Jews are the children of the devil, or like Martin Luther as I call him. No, it's anyone that's not born again, Jew or Gentile. Being Jewish has nothing to do with being a child of the devil, but it's being lost in your sin. It doesn't matter, Jew or Gentile. So it says, verse 39 says, the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, it says, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. It says, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. It says, there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth here. So here we go. This is talk about the judgment here. It says, verse 41 says here, the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, it says, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them that do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. So the kingdom, here Jesus is talking about the kingdom here. So let's go back here. Let's see. The kingdom here. So we know that Jesus Christ, according to the scripture, that Jesus Christ is coming back to set up his kingdom on this earth. He's coming back to set up his millennial kingdom. And this sound like a reference to that. Because when Jesus Christ comes back the second time, he's coming back to rule and reign on David's throne. And then no sin will be allowed into that kingdom there. No sinner here. The children of the wicked one will not be entering into that millennial kingdom, it sounds like to me. So that sounds like to me a reference to that time. It says, then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Then it says in verse 44, it says again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in the field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man, seeking goodly pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea, and gathered of every kind, which, when it was full, they drew to shore, and sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angel shall come forth, and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them, talk about the wicked, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Jesus saith unto them, Have ye understand all these things? They say unto him, Yea, Lord. Then said he unto them, Therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these parables, he departed thence. And when he was come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished, and said, Hi, Giz. Hi, little Giz. Look who came to see me, little Giz the cat. Giz? You want to go down, Giz? Is that what you want? Giz came to visit me. Hold up, I will read this in a second here. Hi, Giz. Little Giz the cat? You want me to take you down? Oh, hold up, Giz. Let me read this here. Verse 54. And when he was gone, come into his own country, it says, he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished, and said, Whence hath this man this wisdom and these mighty works? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? And his brethren James and Joses and Simon and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Whence then hath this man all these things? And it says, And they were offended in him. But Jesus said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country, and in his own house. And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief, it says so. But here in verses 55, 56, it makes reference to Jesus, to his mother and his brothers, and even his sisters here. So Mary had other children after Jesus. Jesus was Mary's firstborn son. The gospel writers, both Matthew and Luke, point that out, that he was the firstborn son of Mary. And after Mary, after Jesus, Mary had other children with Joseph there. So it names his brothers here. It says James and Joses and Simon and Judas here. And his sister, so there had at least be two sisters, the minimum of two there, maybe more, but two at least. And his sisters, are they not all with us? So they knew who Jesus was here. It says, Is not this the carpenter's son? They knew who Jesus was. He went back to his hometown where he grew up. Now Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, but he grew up in Nazareth, though. That was where he grew up, though. You know, he moved north to Galilee, Joseph did, after they came back from Egypt there. According to Matthew's account here, they went north. And here, let me read it real fast here, huh? Okay, so this is when Matthew chapter 2 here, verse 19, I'm going to start off verse 19. But when Herod was dead, it says, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph in Egypt. So this is when they fled down to Egypt for a while to escape Herod, because Herod went to kill Jesus. It says, arise, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. Verse 22 says, but when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, it says he was afraid to go thither, notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream. He turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. So Jesus was born in Bethlehem, but then when they came back to the land of Israel, they settled in, Joseph and Mary and Jesus settled in Nazareth there. So it was kind of like his hometown. It's kind of like me. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Originally, that's where I was born. But then it's like Akron, Ohio became like my hometown, though. That's kind of where I grew up as a kid. You know, most of my time as a kid was in Akron, Ohio. So even though I wasn't born in Akron, but I kind of grew up there. So I can kind of consider it kind of like my hometown there. So let's go here to Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew here. Here. So we're going to go slow here. Sometimes I go too fast, I think. And now I'm going to get into chapter 14 here. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus. Remember, there was many. Herod, the Herodian, I guess you could say, line was like a dynasty. There wasn't just Herod the Great was in the days when Jesus was born. But he had sons that succeeded him, like a dynasty. So just keep that in mind when you see Herod here. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus. So this ain't the same Herod that was in the days when Jesus was born in Bethlehem there. This was one of his sons there, the dynasty of sons there. And said unto his servants, this is John the Baptist. Says he is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. So he thought John the Baptist was Jesus, that John the Baptist risen from the dead. It says, for Herod had laid hold on John, and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. So he took his brother Philip's wife there, something that God said not to do, Okay. For John said unto him, it says, it is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet, meaning they counted John as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her, says, whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them that sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger, and given to the damsel. And she brought it to her mother. His disciples came, and he took up the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus. So I guess there's no sweeter revenge than what the Herodias had towards John the Baptist. Because John the Baptist said to Herod, it's not lawful to have your brother Philip's wife. He kind of took his wife. And John the Baptist corrected him, said, no, 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 it's not lawful to have her. So there was a grudge held against John the Baptist there, because John the Baptist was put in prison. In fact, he was put in prison back in, I just read that too. Chapter 11, verse 2, here back in. Now when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, so John was already put in prison there, back in chapter 11 there. So how much time did John the Baptist spend in prison? I don't know. I mean, it's been a little time at this point here. So anyhow, verse 13 now says, when Jesus heard of it, he heard of what happened to John the Baptist. It says, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, this is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals. But Jesus said unto them, they need not depart. Give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, we have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, bring them hither to me. I better let her. She lets me know when she wants down some. Anyway, let's get down. Chapter 14 here. So let's see. So here we go. Let me start verse 15 again here. It says this, and when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, this is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages, and buy themselves victuals. But Jesus said unto them, they need not depart. Give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, we have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake, and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled. And he took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full, says. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship, and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. So apparently this was at late in the day, evening time here, when all these events were taking place here. So let me read this again. It says, verse 22, and straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship, and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he says, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a spirit. And they cried out for fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, be of good cheer. It is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. It says, Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth thou art the Son of God. And when they were gone over, they came into the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place had knowledge of him, they sent out into all that country round about, and brought unto him all that were diseased, and besought him that they might only touch the hem of his garment. And as many as touched him were made perfectly whole. Here we go. So I think tomorrow I'm going to pick up here chapter 15 here, because it's kind of late here. And I want to have to still edit this video up here a little bit, lightly edit it. So we got 2 chapters in tonight, it looks like. The parables of the kingdom in chapter 13, and some of the events here. I guess you could say the daily events of Jesus' ministry here in chapter 14 here. Okay, so all right.